Sweet. So I might just get started. So we're your hosts for today's session. So in case you don't know us, my name is Fran. I'm a GIS solution engineer in the technical solutions team at Eagle, and I'm joined by Matt, who's one of our recent GIS graduates. So for this session, we have a Slido room set up. So feel free to scan the QR code, which is on the screen. So as we go through the session, you don't have to remember your questions throughout. You can just submit them as we go through, and then we can answer them at the end. And in case you missed the QR code now, it's also in your lanyard. So just scan the QR code and select Esri Tech ArcGIS Online. Cool. So this is the agenda for today. So we'll start with a brief ArcGIS Online overview. And just out of curiosity, how many people in this room are already using ArcGIS Online? Can I see a show of hands? Okay, pretty much everyone. So I'll keep that section brief. And then we'll go over these different sections and go over what's new and different aspects of these. So what is ArcGIS Online? So ArcGIS Online is Esri's cloud-based mapping and analysis solution, which is accessible through your web browsers or mobile devices through the off-the-shelf applications or your custom applications. It's provided as a software as a service, and it's built on scalable infrastructure, which means that you don't have to have the IT knowledge or provide the hardware or all the back-end resources that it takes to run a web GIS system like this one. So with ArcGIS Online, Esri does this on your behalf. So all you have to do is manage your organization and your users and your content and take care of that part of it. So essentially, you get to do all the work and work on your maps and analysis and collaboration. So all the front end and the back end is taken care of by Esri. So here I'm just calling out the Architecture Center, so feel free to scan the QR code if you want to take a look. But this is a more technical resource where the ArcGIS components are explained and broken down into IT language, basically. I'll just leave that on the screen for a few more seconds. But this is just an overview of where ArcGIS Online fits in the ArcGIS system. So the portals in the middle, ArcGIS Online or ArcGIS Enterprise, is where you create your content, your maps, and you manage all of this to then be fed into either ArcGIS Pro, the desktop application, or your different apps. So with that, I'll pass it over to Matt to take us through what's new in mapping.
Okay, so a lot of new features and quality of life improvements have been added to the map viewer this year. This is done to enhance your workflows and data management in your ArcGIS Online environment. So firstly, let's talk about what's new with sketches. As of the June 2025 update, true curves are now supported with sketches and have been added to the sketch pane as a new drawing tool. Simply select the curved line tool on the sketch toolbar and click on the map to add start and endpoints, and you're good to go. Previously, there was no true curve support when using sketches in ArcGIS Online, so this will be a welcome change for anyone who uses the sketch functionality a lot, hopefully. So with Snap to Grid, the grid tool is housed in the settings tab of the editor and the sketches pane, so you can select it through either pane. It can be used as a visual aid and as a snapping tool to create straight lines and spacing between features. It can both snap to pre-existing features during placement and be used as a snapping source while editing features. For example, to create an office footprint that is aligned with a pre-existing feature, you can first snap the grid to the desired polygon edge. Once the grid is configured, it will become a snappable source for all eligible layers in your map. And you have the variety of grid options seen in the slide there. So moving on to editing. The past year has brought a lot of enhancements to editing, one of which is the addition of new draw tools in the editor pane. When creating new features like polygons or lines, a draw toolbar will be present at the top of the editor pane. So in there, you can choose between different tools like circle, rectangle, or freehand polygons and polylines. So there's also a new selection toolbar where you can choose a variety of selection tools for selecting features on the map and editing them. Okay, so batch attribute updates. So this has been a highly requested feature, and now it has come to ArcGIS Online. To make a selection, simply choose your selection tool of choice, which can either be select by lasso, select by rectangle, and of course the classic select by point. To select multiple features on the map, refine your selection in the editor pane and then edit attributes for multiple features at once using a smartphone experience. So there's even more being added to editing in ArcGIS Online though, with feature templates now being able to be managed directly in the map viewer. Using the new configure editing menu on the light toolbar on the right, you can open the templates window directly in map viewer. So inside the template management setting, it looks a lot like what you would see in Field Designer, if any of you are familiar with that. It's where you can duplicate, update, or delete templates. You can also configure template properties like the display name, description, and set default values for each of your templates. So improvements, so smart mapping, improvements have also been made to map sharing. You can now use copy link to map to share it while preserving the exact map extent the map is set to. There's a very simplified way to share a map without having the need to create a separate web app while precisely preserving map extent. Now smart mapping. So the new spike theme shows values proportionally represented by the height of the spike when working with point and polygon features. The user defines the spike threshold for the value range, spike style, and shape. There is a variety of spike styles and shapes to choose from, including a variety of fill options from no fill to complete solid fills and gradient fills. These themes can be added to your web maps through the Smart Mapping panel. When you go into defining your style options, you can pick from the pre-existing ones like high to low, above and below, and now, of course, the spike theme as well. We also have an update to how color ramps are being presented. Previously, if a color ramp only had 3 unique values, the default color ramp would still be shown to you, which wouldn't really give a great indication of how the unique values would actually look. Now, when you have 3 unique values, the color ramp will only present 3 unique colors to you. So you know exactly where your color values are going to go from the top to the bottom of the available classes. So animated symbols are now available as a new symbol gallery with the default ArcGIS Online symbols. They give you an increased animation control that is different from GIFs, including color animations, rotation, and offset, which all allows you to create an animation like dropping a pin on the map, for example, scaling to increase or decrease the size of the symbol, and transparency. This will apply transparency as the animation progresses. This is currently available for points only, but lines and polygon animations are in development. So previously, if you were using filters for the map, your legend would show all values anyway. Now, when applying filters to your map, the legend will update to reflect the filter, only showing values that you're filtering for. Okay, so we now have client-side aggregation, so it does not require any analysis tools. Support for lines and polygons have now been added. The GIF above is showing converts in a city, which are tiny features, making it difficult to tell where they are and their density. Using binning, you can aggregate the small line features to bins to visualize their density. You can also use scale threshold, which once past the individual features can be seen with your aggregated data. All controlled through the aggregation configuration, so no additional or duplicate layers are needed as they were in the past for this sort of aggregation workflow. So the display filters. These are filters that remove the features from the map view. They are still available in the table and when conducting analysis. Only the map view gets filtered. This is good for adding performance to the map and gives users the ability to pick and choose just the features that are important to them. So the team has improved deconfliction, added support for multi-points and font suggestions. So ArcGIS Online will recommend fonts to you based on your feature layer styling.
Cool. So for charts, so like maps, charts help uncover patterns and show trends and relationships in your data. So when you use them along with your maps, they can really help tell a more complete story about your information. And with this latest update, charts now support numeric fields as their input. So before, when building your bar graphs or other visualizations, we were limited to string fields for grouping. But now timestamp, offset, date only, and big integer are supported, so you can divide your bar charts on these inputs as well. And you have the option to sort based on a custom order. So on the screen, you can see days of the week get automatically sorted alphabetically, but you can now overwrite this. And this is offered for box plots and bar charts. Bar and line charts now have the option to add date guides, which can be really useful if you want to highlight where things have happened in time. So you can now add those annotations to your charts to indicate those dates. You can now also reorder the chart list. And finally, you have the option to export your charts as a table or as an image if you want to use them or save them elsewhere. So that concludes what's new in mapping, and now Matt will take us through a demo.
Okay, so I'm just going to quickly demo how you can configure some basic animated symbols. So you just go into your styles pane here, into style options, symbol style as you would change it in any with non-animated workflow, and then you just have a new category here called animated symbols, and then here's the current list of default animated symbols that we have available. We're looking at fire stations here, so let's go with the fire warning color change one. So then here you can choose the actual color. I'll increase the size so it's a bit more clear. So here you can choose the color of the actual symbol, and then to change the color that it's transitioning into, so let's just say we want to keep this as red, we go into our animation settings here, and then the to color will have it going from red to yellow by default. Let's say we want to change that to blue. Now the animation is going from red to blue. So you can also reverse it, so it goes blue to red. You can pause the animation in this menu if you would like. And then you have manual offset, where the animations will all happen together, like what you're seeing right now. And then there's also randomized, which will have the animations happening randomly. There's also duration, to change the duration of the animation if you would like. Repeat delay, which will just delay it from going through another animation cycle by a couple seconds or whatever you set that to. Then you have a few different repeat types. There's oscillate, which is what it's at right now, where it's just oscillating equally through the different animations. And then there's loop, which will have it just sort of randomly cut off back to the R2 color, so blue in our case. And then none, which will just sort of pause the animation. And then you have a variety of easing types, which, again, similar to the repeat types, will just control how the animation is running. So you've got ease out, if you want the animation to ease out, ease in, and then linear, which will have it oscillating linearly. So yes, that was just a quick demo on how to configure some basic animation styles for your point feature classes.
So I'll just show an example that we showed at the Rocks of using animated symbols. So here we're looking at Transpower structures. In the bin index, a climate risk index have been included into each of these structures. So what you see is them aggregated, and the fuller circles represent where more structures are present, and the yellow to red represents the climate risk. So here, using animated symbols, we can really bring those structures that have a higher climate risk index and really make them pop. So this is just an example of how you can use animated symbols for that. And I'll quickly show a few of the other updates that Matt mentioned just before. So in terms of display filters, you have to configure them in ArcGIS Pro. I know the team is working to bring this capability into ArcGIS Online, but once they've been authored in ArcGIS Pro, you can then enable or disable in the properties pane of your layer. So this is really useful when you have a lot of overlaying features, and it makes it hard to see individual ones. So here, for example, you can filter by the categories that you've set in ArcGIS Pro. So here I am filtering by different types of structures that I want to focus on. But like Matt mentioned, this is just the features that are shown in the map. So the attribute table is not filtered. So if you perform analysis on this, it will still perform it on all of the features. And to look at the templates. So here's what that looks like, and where you can, again, these have to be authored in ArcGIS Pro at the moment. But once they've been created, you can duplicate them and then create new ones this way. So if you want to create the same features, for example, here I created the same feature template, but for a planning scenario. So I chose a few different default values for when I'm creating these structures. So once that is all done and it looks, I have all the default values that I want and the symbology that I want, when I go to create these features, I see them here. And if I create that, I see all of those default values. And last but not least, I just wanted to show the new spike theme. So here again, I'm using aggregation. If I go to styling, I'm using two fields to drive my symbology. And going to counts and amounts, you see all the different options, and you'll see the new spike theme. So if you have counts or any sort of numeric value associated with your data, that can be represented by a spike. So that was just a quick demo to show some of those features that we touched on the mapping section. But now we'll move on to the analysis side of things. So we'll go over a range of different applications and extensions to ArcGIS Online and see what's new. So starting with Map Viewer still, there are several new tools and raster functions. And there's also been some improvements made to the way you can access data variables within the Enrich Layer tool. So for those of you who may not be familiar, the Enrich Layer tool allows you to access Esri's authoritative content to enrich your data with things like socioeconomic and demographic data. But there's also a bunch of new and available variables. So in New Zealand, there's now over 700 available variables to choose from. But each country has different data sources, so you may not see the same variables everywhere. So the data browser for this tool has been enhanced, and it now supports adding variables to a favorites list, which can be really useful considering there's so many variables, and you may want to reuse them. So accessing them by adding them to your favorites first will be easier. And this browser also now has an improved semantic search functionality, which again is super useful considering how many variables there are. And you may not remember the exact name, but semantic search understands the context of your search and your intent. So it might return, even though you're not searching the exact word, it might return the result that you're looking for. And also many number variables now support choosing a statistic, so count, percentage, or index, to calculate within the enrichment areas. Another enhancement is that analysis tools are available in Scene Viewer now, so you can perform 2D analysis in a 3D context. And finally, Model Builder has been brought to the web. So Model Builder had entered beta release in February, but has now reached general availability. So for those who don't know, Model Builder is a no-code visual workflow builder, which is now directly integrated into Map Viewer, where you can create multi-step analysis workflows by chaining together your data and different tools. And this works on time-based sessions, so you're charged based on the amount of time that you're connected to build and run the model. So in here, you can access a very similar list of the analysis tools that are available in Map Viewer, and you can perform feature analysis tools on your layers, or you can pull layers from your organization or the Living Atlas. So as you configure your model, you'll see it change colors as it validates to indicate when it's ready to run. And once it's done, it's shareable across your organization or publicly, so you can share it with other people and share the analysis workflows that you've done. So in Model Builder, Filter by Attributes is a new tool, and it creates an output data variable of features that meet a certain attribute criteria. So that's Model Builder in Map Viewer. So ArcGIS Notebooks. Again, for those who don't know, this is basically Jupyter Notebooks integrated into ArcGIS. So it's a ready-to-use Python environment where you can bring your existing data science workflows without needing to recreate it through the ArcGIS Online UI. So you can reuse your Python scripts and easily migrate them over to ArcGIS Online to use them with your ArcGIS Online content directly. So you can work with your hosted feature layers or your web maps and services using the ArcGIS API for Python. You can perform WebGIS administration or content management, so you can manage your users, not just perform analysis. And you can also perform these on a schedule and automate processes. So what's new in notebooks? There's new versions of ArcGIS API for Python, ArcPy, and Python libraries available in the notebook runtimes. So you get access to the latest tools, bug fixes, and performance improvements. So this means that your code runs faster, is more secure, and supports new features. And workflows in the notebook editor have been simplified, and the advanced settings have been reorganized. So that's what's new in ArcGIS Notebooks. And now I'll move on to data pipelines. So again, for those who are not familiar with it, this is a relatively new tool. So it came out of beta into general release last year. And this is a tool that streamlines data integration into ArcGIS Online. It's a no-code application, so it has a drag-and-drop interface similar to Model Builder, where you can string actions together, which you'll see in the next slide. So it offers all the tools required for data engineering, so for cleaning and formatting your data, and so you can build data sets that are ready to use for input, for analysis, for charting, for your maps or dashboards. So this is perfect for taking raw data from sources like Amazon S3, Snowflake, REST APIs, etc. So you can then ingest them and transform it in a way that it's usable in your ArcGIS Online maps and applications. So this is integrated. It's a native application in ArcGIS Online. And again, it's a no-code application. It's really easy to use, just a drag-and-drop interface. And it is repeatable, so you can rerun your pipelines and automate these on a schedule. So that's what the interface looks like. And like I mentioned, very intuitive. You just string actions together. But what's new in data pipelines is a couple of new input data sources. So you can now connect to secure URLs and configure passwords that are stored with the data to be able to access it. And you can now access data from Databricks as well. And the user interface has updated a little bit with some new features, such as the ability to add notes to document your process, or add annotations to your workflows to explain why something was done. So you can use notes for that on each step. But you can also add notes to the pipeline itself. So notes are really helpful, especially if you have really complicated pipelines, because there's a search functionality. So if you want to find a specific thing that you did and that you added a note for, you can search that through, and this will sort through your notes and find the information that you need and show you where in the pipeline this was done. And there are also some new tools to help in the data engineering process. So there is Pivot, where you can reshuffle a table and turn rows into columns, for example. Dissolve to dissolve your features, clip, and summarize attributes. So these are great tools for understanding and reframing your data before you're about to use it. And lastly, running a pipeline from a Power Automate flow is supported. So next, Business Analyst Web App. Can I just see a show of hands who was here in plenary yesterday and saw the analytics demo? Okay, so quite a few people. So ArcGIS Business Analyst is a focused application built on top of ArcGIS, but it also spans across the ArcGIS system. So this is a location-based market and community intelligence application that combines demographic, business, lifestyle, spending, and census data combined with map-based analytics for smart decision-making. So like I said, this spans across the ArcGIS system, and some of the functionality you would have seen also in those Microsoft applications with the ArcGIS integrations to them, and also the Experience Builder Business Analyst widget. And there's also Business Analyst Pro, which is the Pro extension. But we'll focus on ArcGIS Business Analyst Web App. And this is because now it is included in all creator and above user types. So for the web app, it also includes a mobile application, which is included in both the standard and the advanced license. So I thought I would go back to Business Analyst Web App, and now we can go through the user interface again. Let me just make sure. Cool. So you can see that. So this is Business Analyst Web App. Again, can I see how many people have used this application before? Only a few. Cool. So this is a prepackaged solution, and it makes it really easy to perform analysis and understand location-based questions. So I can look at some of the things I've done. For example, you can create your sites as point locations or polygons. So here I created a drive time. But let me create a new point location. So I can add a pin or a boundary or search points of interest, which I will also do in a second. But here I'll search Hackley Park. Cool. So now I can easily just create a site. And let's say I want to see the areas that I covered within 5, 10, and 15-minute walk times. So just like that, I've created a new site, and I can start answering questions about this location. So I can create an infographic, and like I mentioned in the demo in plenary, you can access the pre-configured templates. So to create your own custom templates, that's part of the advanced licensing. But you can, with the standard licensing, which is included in creator and above user types, you can use any of these Esri pre-configured templates. So I'll choose a different one than the one I chose yesterday. And I can get some information on what's around in this area. But I can also choose the bigger areas. You can create reports as well. And again, there's some pre-configured templates, such as the summary report from Stats New Zealand. Let's just look at what that looks like. So this just gives me some key stats with information derived from the census, the 2023 census. So I can very easily start getting a deeper understanding on certain locations. Let's say now I want to search for points of interest. So I'll choose pharmacies. And you can configure your area of search as well. So instead of the map extent that I had configured, I'll change it to Christchurch again. You can also change how you style the information and how it's displayed. And this is a new feature, which is aggregating your point data. So you can aggregate it to different levels of detail, so different geographies. These are all the ones available, so there's quite a few. So the last thing I want to show is the benchmark comparisons, because this is the analysis that's included in the standard licensing. So just to show you the threshold areas, void analysis and suitability analysis, those are part of the standard, the advanced licensing for Business Analyst Web App. But here in benchmark comparisons, you can select the sites which, for this use case, I chose the constituencies, just because it's easier to see. But you can definitely go more fine-grained and have smaller areas that you want to compare. And like I said, you can add statistics to choose as your benchmark, but you can also choose one of your records as a benchmark and see how the rest of the data compares to that. So I'll keep it at that and go back to the slides. But that was just to quickly show what Business Analyst Web App looks like, and just as a summary of some of the things that we showed yesterday and today, and the things that you can do with the standard license and the advanced license. And I just wanted to note that if someone in your organization has advanced license, they can create custom infographics or custom variables, and then someone in the same organization with a standard license can then use them. So they might not be able to create them, but they can still use them and access them. Okay, up next, ArcGIS Velocity. This is a powerful engine for ingesting real-time data and performing real-time analysis. And as you're accumulating the historical data that's coming from your feeds, you can perform big data analysis. Okay. So this application makes it easy to quickly get started with your real-time data processing. And this is an extension to ArcGIS Online and designed to help organizations make sense of their sensor and IoT data. So with ArcGIS Velocity, you can bring in your live feeds, like vehicle locations or environmental sensors, and be able to visualize, analyze, and act on that data. So it's not just about real time. You can also, ArcGIS Velocity also lets you process large volumes of historical data. So you can uncover patterns, trends, and visualize anomalies over time. And some of the ways that organizations are using it include tracking fleets and assets to get a live view of operations, and also keeping an eye on changing conditions like weather or traffic to support decision making. So this slide shows the wide range of input types that are available in Velocity, but I'll just focus on the newest additions. So the highlighted ones are the newly added data provider feed types. So these are pre-built connectors that make it easier to bring in data from trusted third-party services. So the newest additions include Barren Weather for real-time weather data, FlightAware for aviation tracking, Vectronic Aerospace for wildlife telemetry, and there's more. So most of these feeds originate from US providers, but they're not all US specific, like Vectronic Aerospace that offers global data. So these integrations expand the types of real-time data that you can bring into your analysis workflows. And in terms of analytics, there's a wide range of analysis tools included in ArcGIS Velocity. So this includes tools for summarizing data, detecting different kinds of incidents and behaviors, and analyzing patterns. So the ones that are highlighted are new tools, and the ones with a yellow circle next to it have been enhanced. So all of these tools can be used in big data analytics, and those that can operate on a single message at a time also work on real-time analytics. And then this slide shows the different ways Velocity can output data once it's been processed, so whether it's real-time or historical. And under web and messaging output types, there's some new additions. So Microsoft Teams and Slack are now supported, making it easier to send alerts or updates directly into your collaboration tools. So this is especially useful for operational teams who need to act quickly on incoming data. And also under business systems, Trimble Unity is now supported, which is a new integration for asset and field operations, particularly useful for utilities and infrastructure management. So here's just highlighting these new output types released this year. And here we can see what they look like. So the Microsoft Team output makes it easy to generate and send adaptive cards. So these can include text, graphics, and buttons, providing a dynamic way to share information. So you can also include your feature data from your real-time or big data analytics into those adaptive cards, which are then posted onto Teams. And then similar to the output for Microsoft Teams, you can also customize what is included in the messages that you set up to send directly to your Slack channels within your organization. And finally, the Trimble Unity Maintain integration in Velocity enables real-time and big data analytics to automatically generate work orders based on incoming events. So those were quite a few different tools that allow you to perform analysis. Some of them look very similar, like Model Builder, Data Pipelines, and ArcGIS Velocity, where you can string things together, but they all have a different purpose, and they're used in different ways. So just as a summary slide for all the things we just covered in the analysis section. Okay, now moving on to content management in ArcGIS Online. As you may know, deleting content that's owned by you or by other people can take a bit of time since there's no visibility of what is protected or not. So if you're trying to bulk delete and one or more of those items are protected, it can make this process a little bit tedious. But now administrators can bulk protect or bulk remove delete protection to ensure that there are no issues when you're trying to delete multiple items at once. So administrators can do this in the Content tab, and other users can do this from the My Content tab. In terms of metadata, these are the latest updates. So the new metadata editor has been available in ArcGIS Online for some time, but is now available in ArcGIS Pro 3.5. It has the ability to sync attribute fields into your metadata. And this is new because if you have this information already present in your fields, so field metadata, like field name, aliases, or field descriptions, they were stored at the item level and not exposed to the metadata. So you had to do that manually, but now there's a new button that allows you to synchronize the metadata for this as well. And metadata for all. So initially, someone had to author metadata, but now you're given a starting point where you can use the item information in the item page to populate your item's metadata. And a new metadata style is supported, Dublin Core, so administrators can configure the organization to use this or any other available metadata styles in the Items tab of your organizational settings. And last but not least, for metadata, you are able to override an item's metadata with another item's metadata. So you can choose the override option, which gives you the ability to select an existing item. So this can be an item that you own, or an item from your organization, or even a public item. So there's no restrictions there. So with that, I'll pass it over to Matt.
Okay, so a variety of updates and quality of life improvements have been made to the administration and collaboration features in ArcGIS Online this year. This is an important yet often overlooked area of ArcGIS Online, as having good administration practice and easy collaboration with your team can keep your day-to-day running so much smoother at your organization. Esri is very much aware of that and is always working to provide tools and find new ways to make your life easier on the administrative end of ArcGIS Online. So the three-dot menu has been getting quite long over the years, therefore it has been redesigned to group similar actions together. This makes selecting these options more efficient. Some icons have also been changed to communicate what the actions do more effectively. For example, actions that will open up a new link or tab will have the arrow out of the box symbol as seen in the image there. Okay, so predefined folder structures will be maintained when transferring one user's content to another. Previously, when transferring content to a different user, their content would essentially be dumped into one folder. So the new user would then have to manually sort out all of the data and content transferred. This would often be quite a strenuous and often long administrative task. Now, however, the old user's folder structure will be maintained when selected, meaning it will be already structured and ready to go for the new user straight away. Okay, so streamlining management of duplicate licenses was the goal of the managing duplicate licenses changes. They can now be managed directly from the duplicate licenses warning banner and in the overview members and licenses page. So there's actually multiple entry points in the UI to deleting the duplicate licenses now. Additionally, a duplicate license filter has been added when you're managing users with duplicate licenses. So it will only show users that have a duplicate license when you toggle it on, making removing duplicate licenses more efficient. In the new member default settings, there is also a new way to manage duplicate add-on license states. Previously, if you had configured a specific user type to be default and then had an add-on license configured, that then became included in that same user type. So every user in your organization will get the duplicate license state. Now that state of duplicate add-on licenses has been completely removed entirely. It's important to clarify here that access to licensing won't be removed when managing duplicates though. So AI assistants are coming to ArcGIS Online. It is up to each organization to decide if they would like to adopt the AI assistants. They can be toggled on and off in the settings page for your organization by your administrator at any time. So with that, we'll move on to AI in ArcGIS Online. So AI has come to ArcGIS Online to empower and assist users to automate certain spatial workflows, detect patterns, and extract insights from geospatial data. In this section, we are going to explore some of the ways it can support your day-to-day work and projects. AI is important in GIS because GeoAI enables automated analysis of spatial data sets, uncovering patterns and predictions at a rate never seen before. While AI assistants can educate users while supporting their work. So as we're specifically focusing on ArcGIS Online today, these are the 4 AI capabilities we will be discussing. However, there is much more to come in the future. Okay, so firstly, the Arcade Assistant. The Arcade Assistant is a smart tool that will help users write and troubleshoot their arcade expressions by providing intelligent suggestions and explanations directly within the ArcGIS interface. It simplifies complex scripting tasks, helping users create dynamic maps, labels, pop-ups, and more without needing a deep understanding of arcade or coding expertise. So with that, we'll demo the Arcade Assistant. So this is just a point feature layer here of the Great Smoky Mountains in the US, I believe. So we'll select our layer here and we'll configure some pop-ups. I forgot. Oh, that's right. So firstly, we'll come to the pop-ups menu here, and then we'll start off with an attribute expressions, because as you can see in these default pop-ups here, that some of these, the peak name and the quad fields both have full capitals. So let's convert that to proper case and create a sentence with the quad and the peak name field for our new pop-up. So to do that, you want to go into your attribute expressions, click Add Expression here, and then right here is where you can select the new Arcade Assistant. It'll give you a warning message about how AI can sometimes be incorrect or biased, which is, of course, true. So then we'll paste in our prompt here. So firstly, for this one, what we want it to do is change the peak name quad to proper case, return a sentence that starts with the peak name, and adds the quad field it is located in, and completes the sentence with quadrangle, as quad is just short for quadrangle for our purposes. So here we go. The assistant has given us its response to our prompt. All we have to do is click Add to Editor, and then run it to make sure that it's what you want. There's our little sentence that we want for our pop-ups. So then you just click Done, and then add it to your pop-up the same way you would any other way. So go text, parentheses, and it was new expression 2. Hit OK, and then there we go. There's our little sentence, and it's changing based on each field, each feature. So we'll remove this default pop-up because let's say it doesn't suit our purposes. So we'll delete that, and now we'll add a full new pop-up. So to add a full new pop-up, you just go Add Content. It's not an attribute expression, so you don't have to mess around in the attribute expression section of the options. So just Add Content, Arcade, and we'll delete whatever's in there by default. And let's say we want a completely new HTML table that is going to describe each peak and fills a pop-up. It will change all strings to proper case, so we can get rid of those capital ones that I showed before. And then we want numeric fields to use 2 decimal places, as that's all we're interested in. We want to get rid of unit code and park distance fields. Maybe they're not of interest for us. And make the first row background color of light orange and centered bold text. And we want our columns to be light blue. So let's do just that and click Generate. Okay, and there we go. We have our response there. So as you can see, you can do quite complex arcade scripting tasks using this filter. One thing I do recommend, though, is if you look at my prompt here, how basically each request that I have for the AI is one request per line. This just sort of helps it understand, at least in my experience, a lot better and helps it generate responses more smoothly. So we'll go ahead and add that to our editor, and we'll click Run again. And then there, if you know HTML well, you can see if it's done that right through there. If not, we can check our pop-ups. And there we go. So we've got a full new pop-up, and we essentially didn't have to write a single line of code for our arcade expressions. Okay, and with that, we'll move on. Okay, so I was supposed to mention this at the start, but I'll just do it now. Arcade and pop-ups can be used in two ways. Firstly, to create attribute expressions using elements that can be evaluated like fields, or as separate arcade content elements that return a complete block of content. So if you're doing something like what I've just showed, changing the casing from upper to lower, you will want to use an attribute expression, whereas for adding completely new strings of content, which is what we did when we added the new HTML table, you'll want to use the Add Content button. Okay, so the Business Analyst Assistant. The Business Analyst Assistant is an in-app productivity tool that will leverage AI to recommend popular workflows, infographic reports, data, and tips. Through your prompts and search queries, it will understand geographic context and provide intelligent suggestions to improve your workflows. So to use the assistant, you'll either use a suggested prompt or make your own search query. Whether you actually use the suggested prompts or not, they are a good resource for forming your own search queries. Queries should be short and direct. Longer ones increase processing time and come with a higher risk of the assistant misunderstanding. It is also a good idea to use the feedback functionality to enhance the performance and accuracy of the assistant over time, as of course it is an AI model. So we showed earlier how Model Builder can automate workflows. Now we are going to talk about how it can be used in ArcGIS Online for deploying GeoAI models. Along with the built-in geoprocessing tools and, of course, Python notebooks for the skilled coders out there, currently GeoAI models cannot be trained within ArcGIS Online environment. Model training still requires ArcGIS Pro. However, pre-trained models can be run directly in ArcGIS Online through these three methods you can see above: the Model Builder, geoprocessing services, and Python notebooks. You can also see in the graphic there the 4 different geoprocessing tools for detecting and classifying different spatial objects and pixels, etc., if you do choose to use them. So ArcGIS Online now offers AI-powered enhanced imagery analysis through further integration with the Living Atlas and imagery layers, and a variety of pre-trained deep learning models offered by Esri and Eagle Technology found in the Living Atlas. All of which is cloud-hosted by Esri, so no local processing is required by the user. For more information on this, check out the content across ArcGIS session, I believe it's this afternoon, and the imagery session. Okay, so ArcGIS Excalibur has come to ArcGIS Online, if you remember me discussing that in the plenary. This is a great app for all of your imagery analysis needs, and of course it has its deep learning toolbox for you to pull in and run. You can run any pre-trained deep learning model in this app, not just the Living Atlas, but Esri and Eagle Technology ones as well, and your own trained models, which is where it differs from the GeoAI functionality just in the standard map viewer. It was previously only available in Enterprise due to its dependency on enterprise systems like the image server. Now, however, Esri has extended its architecture to support cloud-hosted imagery workflows. As a result, ArcGIS Excalibur has become available for all ArcGIS Online users with a Creator, Professional, or Professional Plus user type. So here we just have the demo that I showed yesterday on muted, but what I want to highlight, by playing this again, is that So every output, whether it's GeoAI or not, when using ArcGIS Excalibur, will be automatically published to your ArcGIS Online organization as individual layers and also as complete Excalibur projects if you want to work with complete Excalibur projects as well. So this makes sharing imagery, which can be quite large, as I'm sure a lot of you are aware, a lot easier and smoother across ArcGIS Online. Right. Okay, I'll pass back to Fran now for sharing and collaboration.
Sweet. So this is something that we always like to highlight as it's a core capability within ArcGIS Online and the whole ArcGIS system. So ArcGIS Online makes it easy to collaborate and share your work. So as you know, you can build your maps in your different layers, your applications, and your notebooks and your scenes, and you can then share them with your team. And you can choose how you want to share them. So you can keep your items private, you can share them across your organization, or publicly. And then if you want to share them with specific groups of people, you can use groups for this. And then there's two special collaboration types. We have partner collaboration, which is a collaboration type for linking to ArcGIS Online organizations so they can work closely together, and distributed collaboration to share content between ArcGIS Online and ArcGIS Enterprise. And I will touch on that a bit more in a second. And then this slide breaks down how content sharing works in ArcGIS Online, depending on who you want to share it with. And I really like this slide because it summarizes a lot of information in all of these different settings. So whether you're sharing between your organization or different groups, and how partner collaboration also extends these sharing settings. So I can see a few people taking photos, so I'll just leave it up for a few more seconds. So then partner collaboration. This lets two ArcGIS Online organizations work together while keeping their data separate. So data doesn't move, it stays where it lives. And this is helpful, for example, if there are two councils that are working closely, they can share and edit maps without copying the data. So to create a shared update group, normally this only allows people from your organization to participate, but when you have a partner collaboration, then you can bring people from other organizations to be able to be part of these shared update groups. So like I said, it does extend the settings in your group settings, but it keeps your data secure. Then distributed collaboration lets ArcGIS Online and ArcGIS Enterprise share and sync content through groups. So here, data actually moves. So whether it's copied or referenced, it allows an ArcGIS Enterprise and ArcGIS Online organizations to work together. And then from here, you can leverage both types of collaboration types. So for example, if an organization has both ArcGIS Enterprise and ArcGIS Online, maybe ArcGIS Enterprise to store all the data that they work with and do all their daily work. Sorry. And then ArcGIS Online for their public-facing applications, or maybe for their field staff to perform all their field operations. Syncing these organizations can enable these workflows easier. And then their ArcGIS Online organization can then have two or more partner collaborations. So say they're working in a project with different stakeholders, these agencies can be partnered up, so then they can work more closely together. And the last application I'll talk about is ArcGIS Hub, and it's relevant for sharing and collaboration because it's built for that. So for those who don't know, ArcGIS Hub is a natural extension to your ArcGIS Online ecosystem. It's built on top of ArcGIS Online and is available to everyone that has an ArcGIS Online account. So in here, you can create hub sites, so essentially websites, to share your information for different audiences. So you can create unlimited sites and unlimited pages and create open data catalogs. This is very commonly used by different councils, for example, where they have their open data portals. So I'm sure most of you or some of you have interacted with a hub site, maybe without knowing. So these open data sites are commonly used using ArcGIS Hub. So with ArcGIS Hub Basic, you can create hub sites, and like I mentioned, the open data sites, and you can configure catalogs, and you can very easily link any of your ArcGIS Online content. But then with ArcGIS Hub Premium, you get a whole range of different capabilities. So this introduces a whole other ArcGIS Online organization called the Community Organization. And this is where people that you want to work more closely with can be a part of and be connected to your organization while still being separate. And there's also other capabilities like projects and initiatives, as well as events and discussions and discussion boards and newsletters, which are coming soon. So there's a lot you can do in ArcGIS Hub, but here's a capability summary. So again, with Hub Basic, which everyone has access to, you can create sites and pages and create open data sites. And then Hub Premium, you get all these different capabilities. So you have the notion of followers, projects and initiatives. You can create events, discussions on your items, or create discussion boards where people can interact with each other. And then there's enterprise sites, which is the ArcGIS Hub Basic equivalent, but in an enterprise environment. So what's new in this space is workspaces. So there's a lot of new features that come into ArcGIS Hub weekly, but workspaces is the newest addition. So it's making managing your site easier. So it's one place where you can edit your site's title and description, because it's still an item in your ArcGIS Online, but you can also configure the discoverability. And this is all in one place. You can also configure your catalog. So all the content that you want exposed through your hub site, you can manage it in this new workspace experience. You can add your existing groups, and you can create content from here as well. So in the past, finding your way through the editor was a little bit challenging, but in this new workspace experience is a lot easier. But if you are used to the other experience, you can still turn off workspaces in your profile settings. So I'll just go through security and authentication quickly because we're running out of time. But these are some of the points that we'll cover. So ArcGIS Online now supports enhanced developer credential management through more restrictions via scopes and refer, allow finer-grained access control for API keys. There's facilitated API key rotation flow, making it easier to rotate and manage keys securely. Improved authoring experience in the home app. Streamlining credential setup and integration. And expanded administrative flows for administrators. You can now create custom sign-in experiences for the organization and custom categories for registered apps, helping you better organize and control the sign-in options for app users and organization members. So members with ArcGIS logins can now personally reset their multi-factor authentication if they're in an organization that has enforced multi-factor authentication. So to reset this, members must sign in with their current credentials and do the second step verification. Super useful if people get a new phone. So here, an email notification is now sent to the member if they're promoted to an administrator or demoted from an administrator. So this gives that user a chance to immediately act on this if changes were unexpected. So now there's a new show or hide button for your password, which is great. And yeah, so there's a lot that has been covered in this session, and obviously there's a lot of things that we didn't get a chance to go over. And also ArcGIS Online covers a whole range of applications, so there's some things that are covered in different sessions as well. So all of the web applications like instant apps, story maps, and other things will be covered in sessions like the WebGIS. And things around content and imagery will be covered in those sessions as well. But there's a lot of new things that were introduced, and here's just a little summary. So here are just a few resources, and the QR code directs you to the ArcGIS Online blogs, which is a great resource if you want to learn more and keep up to date to the new things that are introduced. So I highly recommend checking that out. So now we can move on to the Q&A part of the session. I saw a few questions come through. One of the questions is, does business analysts use credits? And the answer is yes. So this depends on the type of workflow that you're using. So it does use the geo-enrichment service. And if you're using drive times or walking times, that uses the network analysis. So it does use credits. Another question, are the new feature templates configured in the map viewer honored in the field maps designer? Will updates in the new one be preserved in the other? So I can't speak on this certainly, but I believe that it should be honored because they're shared web components. So if they work in map viewer, they should work in field maps designer as well. But I did a quick Google search, and it did say to be cautious using the field maps designer and to save templates in the web map rather than the feature layer, as it can lead to discrepancies. I also have some of the Eagle stuff here as well. I'm hoping to help with some of these questions. Does AI Assistant use credits?
No, I don't think so. It does not, to my understanding.
Not at this stage. So, thank you. Currently, it's public preview, so everyone get to use it, and there's no cost or credits at the moment. So once we roll into general availabilities, that's when we will confirm what will be the mechanisms, whether it's through licensing or through not likely credits. Like licensing is what we're thinking. But right now, public preview, everyone get to use it. So go hard. But we do have rate limits, so yeah, no cost right now, no credits.
Edward, while you're holding the mic, what's the model architecture behind the AI is another question.
Which part of AI? Is it the Dual AI or is it the AI assistant?
This is AI full stop in the question.
Okay, I'll answer both. For the AI assistant, most of the AI assistant is powered by LLM right now, and then the model architectures. So we won't go deep into the architecture of like large language models, but How we are doing it is the LLM is probably hosted, and then it's getting used in different products through the same practice and patterns. So that's for AI assistant. So for the Geo AI models, it could be transformers, it could be deep learning, it could be many different type of AI. Then we are using a common package, we call it deep learning package, and that's the standard format that was used across different products. Whereas Map Viewer, you're using ArcGIS imagery for ArcGIS Online, that's the geoprocessing tools, or Xscalable, or Deep Learning Studio, image dedicated. I think that's the official name. But deep learning package is the standard formats that is empowering the whole Geo AI workflow.
Thanks, Edward. There's a question around what is the credit cost to have a business analyst app in ArcGIS Online, or is it a separate fee? So like I mentioned, business analyst web app is now included for creator and above user types. So if you have one of these user types, you can already start using it. But depending on the workflows that you use in it, so exporting infographics or reports, for example, or doing network analysis, those will use credits. I can't say exactly how many credits, but it does. How soon can we get symbol style for Polygon? I am not entirely sure what you mean by this question, but I'll bring up a Polygon layer. And let's say I select a couple of fields within my layer. And this powers the smart mapping capability. So you can configure polygon symbology this way and further change it like that. I hope this answers the question. We have 1 minute left of the session. So I will maybe collate some of the questions or the themes that we couldn't capture and put them in the slide, because we'll share these slides afterwards as a PDF. So I'll put some of the common themes and we'll share those back with you. But thank you.
Thank you.